athletic, agile, and full of boundless energy. Within seconds, she had scrambled up the rope ladder, which dropped down from the fork in the branches where the treehouse was built. Scrambling inside the little house, she made herself comfortable in her leafy lair, sat cross-legged, gazing out at the early morning sky. It was 6 o'clock on this bright and sunny July day, and no one else was up, at least not in the house. Tom, the caretaker who ran the farm, was outside one of the red barns near his cottage, cleaning a piece of farm machinery. She had seen him out of the corner of her eye as she had run across the lawns a few minutes earlier. Laura sniffed. Tom had cut the lawns yesterday, and she loved the smell of the newly mown grass and of new-mown hay. She loved everything about Rhonda Falk, much preferred it to New York, where she lived with her parents and her brother Dylan. Imperceptibly, Laura's young face changed as she thought of her parents. Richard, her father, was a well-known composer and conductor. He was usually traveling somewhere to conduct a symphony orchestra, and her mother invariably went along with him. "Those two are inseparable," her grandmother would say, but she said it in such a way it sounded like a criticism. Laura understood that it was. And it was also true that they were hardly ever around. When her mother Maggie wasn't traveling, she was painting her famous flower pictures in her studio on the west side. "She gets good money for them," Grandfather Owen kept saying, making excuses for her mother because he was always kind to everyone. And so it was that Laura and her brother Dylan, 3 years younger than she, were frequently left in the care of their grandparents. She loved being with them. They were her favorites, really. She loved her parents, and she was quite close to her father, when he was around to be close to. But most of the time her mother was distant, remote. Laura thought of the rope ladder which dangled down to the ground, and she moved towards it, intending to pull it up the way her father had shown her, then changed her mind. Nobody was going to invade her private lair. Dylan was too young at 4 to get much farther than the first few rope rungs, and her friend Claire was afraid to climb up in case she fell. It was true that the ladder was a bit precarious. Laura knew that. She had often offered to help Claire climb up into the treehouse, where Claire longed to be, but her friend never had the courage to go beyond the first few steps at the bottom. Claire was scared of other things, even though she was 12 and much more grown up than Laura. She was small, dainty, fragile, and very pretty, with deep green eyes and red hair. A Dresden doll, Grandma Megan called her, and it was the most perfect description. Laura loved Claire. They were the best of best friends, even though they were so different. "Chalk and cheese," Grandpa Owen said about them. Laura didn't know if she was the chalk or the cheese. Her grandfather encouraged her to be athletic and adventurous. He had taught her to ride a horse, taken her climbing in the hills, given her swimming lessons, and instilled in her a confidence in herself. And he had taught her to be unafraid. "You must always be brave, Laura, strong of heart and courageous, and you must stand tall." The problem for Claire was that she wasn't at all athletic, and she shrank from most physical activity. She couldn't swim, and she was unable to ride, being afraid of water, afraid of horses. And yet they were best friends because they shared so many other things. And Claire, despite her physical fragility, had strong mothering instincts. She was warm and loving with Laura and Dylan, and this was especially meaningful to Laura. Claire was a master storyteller, inventive and imaginative, always weaving yarns, telling them ghost stories and other fantastical tales. They played charades, wrote plays and acted in them, and they shared a love of films and music and clothes. In certain ways, Laura was in awe of Claire. After all, she was 5 years older and knew so much more than they did. Dylan, being only 4, didn't know much of anything, and he was very spoilt, in Laura's opinion. Pulling the strap of the string bag over her head, Laura fished inside for the plastic bottle of orange juice, which Fenice, the housekeeper, left for her in the kitchen every morning. After taking a gulp or two, she put the bottle on